24th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I do want to give notice that we had an executive session just prior to this meeting to discuss some legal and real estate issues. We're going to start the evening with a couple of presentations. First up, we have Villanova University going to talk to us about their master plan and a Cabrini update. Mr. Kowalski, welcome.
Good evening. It's good to be here. It's good to see everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. As Commissioner Myers said, we are here to talk about our campus master plan and our plans for the Cabrini campus. These plans we're excited to share with you. We have talked about both of these items before in public. We've had neighbors meetings, as noted here, and our neighbors meeting about our campus master plan we did it in this room, and it's on the Township's YouTube channel if people want to look. We've had a number of other neighbors meetings, and then tomorrow we have our traditional spring semester neighbors meeting. That's taking place on Zoom. We have the link at the end of our presentation, but you can find that on our Facebook page, Villanova Neighbors, or emailing neighbors@villanova.edu. We have a robust participation already, and we're excited to share this information and just other general updates about the spring semester at Villanova to that group. And then as we go through some of our projects, you'll see that one will be moving forward soon in the near future, our proposed Welcome Center and University Shop, as well as a proposed addition to our existing Connolly Center. We'll be at the Planning Commission for both of those projects in April, and then the Zoning Hearing Board as well for the Welcome Center. So to go over the campus master plan is Mary Lou Smith, and then I'll be back up to transition into talking a little bit about Cabrini.
Thanks, Chris, and thank you everyone for having us. So we completed a master plan in 2024 after we hired a renowned architect, Air St. Gross, who does a lot of master planning throughout the country. And they put together some guiding principles with all of our help of how we wanted to guide this specific plan. And what we wanted to do was look at how we could leverage our distinctive character and scale of our campus. So really trying to expand our brand and define it in all areas of our campus. To foster connectivity, to bring the West Campus to our main campus to our South campuses, try to make that really connective instead of four different areas. And then right size for progress and balance for future trajectory. So just as things change, we were in front of you recently, maybe almost a year ago for our library. All these programs change, and it means that we also have to change with the programs to make sure we have the right space for the programs that we're actually sharing with our students. And then to prioritize well-being. So it's not enough to come to campus and just, have education, but it's also, we want our students and our staff to be able to exercise and have amenities that are good for their well-being, and then to embody and cultivate our community. So what came from this campus master plan was this vision of how we could strengthen our student-centric core area. If you look at the center area there on the campus, that's kind of our core area of campus, the purple. Bolster our academic ring, which is, I can't point to it, but that blue that goes around the center, that's where all of our academic buildings are. And then try to anchor our residential communities with student hubs. So when you see some of those student hubs, it's really maybe the dining hall or that student area within that campus environment, that residential area. And then you see the green area, which is to support and upgrade our athletic facilities. So we get a lot of use with our, I think it's 600 varsity athletes at Villanova, and so that requires a lot of support and us to upgrade those and keep competitive with other universities. And then we wanted to look at enhancing the entry and arrival areas for circulation at Villanova. So really you'll see in some of these projects that came out of it is us updating our gateways in different areas, and then to define opportunities for future growth. So the core projects that came out of this, if you have actually, as a result, this was done prior to us acquiring Cabrini. So some of these core projects, we may be able to not do them now or delay them for later or not have to do them as a result of the space that we gained from Cabrini campus. So one of those is the Tollentine renovation and addition. Originally, this was something that was a great need for us, is to create this classroom / STEM area with the Tollentine renovation and addition. And I think based on the number of classrooms that we have at Cabrini, we will probably not have to do this addition, or we could delay it for a while. The number 2, which you see on the on the south side of Lancaster Avenue, west of the bridge, would be a new welcome center / bookstore or a university shop. And as many people might know, is that the Augustinian order, as well as some of other orders, are not growing in population, but they're kind of reducing, and we have a monastery on our campus. And we're trying to leverage that monastery with how can we create a new monastery for the dwindling number of priests. So instead of having that gigantic building for them, is to create another building for them on campus, because we do see them as our identity as a Catholic university and would like them to be on campus. So there is, if you look, I think it's number 3 on there, that would be a new monastery that would look right at the church. And then Falvey Library, which was a definite need, which we have underway and are already building Falvey Library. It's not Falvey Library, I'm sorry. With emptying out Falvey Library, we will create more of an space for student centers. So right now we lack space for, student groups, as well as, fraternity and sorority meeting spaces for them on our campus. So we would be using Falvey to support that effort. And also in Falvey is to create it as a student support area. So we'd like to have our bursar's office, our financial aid, and that goes back to that first guiding principle of, really strengthening our student-centric area. So this is where the center of the campus, where the students will be, and where they're supported by the different areas. And then our athletic facilities, which you see is number 6, and that is by the pavilion. There's Nevin, which is the old basketball area, and that we are looking at renovating that to support our different athletic staff and support groups for the student athletes. And then we have renovations planned for many of our buildings on campus. Mendel Hall, which is our science building. You can see all the 7s are those. Chem Engineering, which is also one of our engineering buildings that they have now moved to. Drozdek Hall, White, John Barry, and Doherty. Doherty is our main dining hall, so it's really to upgrade that to support the new food venues that people are looking for. Most campuses today are not just doing the all-you-can-eat. That's not what students are interested in, so that is something that is great need for us. And then Donahue, which is also another dining venue on South Campus. The landscape projects that came out of this master plan were the South Campus improvements, which if you look at South Campus, there's a couple things there that we were looking at doing. We've done some minor modifications there, but one would be to put a guard shack. It's the one little campus that we don't have a public safety presence there, and we would like to provide a public safety presence there, which we think would be good not only for our students but for our neighbors to have someone there at all times. The gateways we're looking at, you could see number 2 is really kind of enhancing where the Villanova sign is. So is to take Ithan Avenue and really create a gateway to our main entrance. Right now, you kind of see a sign and you could pass it, or we could enter into Ithan Avenue, where we would like to put a verge down the middle of Ithan Avenue to slow traffic down and to create more of a landscape presence and not make it look so cold. And then pavilions that we're talking about are really, we do a lot of outdoor education as well, and sometimes we use tents and sometimes we just, sit out on the grass, but we would like to create maybe some pavilions to support that effort. And an amphitheater. We have a perfect area right by our St. Augustine Center, which is perfect topography for an amphitheater and a place where we could have teaching and learning outside. So they were the suggestions of landscape projects that came out of the master plan. Specifically, one of as Chris said, one of the projects that is going to be in front of you shortly is the Welcome Center University Shop. And the location of that is, you can see it right there, it's west of the bridge, the visitors parking lot that's there, St. Thomas Way, and then it spans to Moriarty, which is an existing dorm, residence hall. And this is what it would look like. So it would, these are the renderings from coming, I guess, if you're looking straight at it, or coming from the west to the east, you can see what this building will look like. You will be able to use, we're not going to relocate St. Thomas Way, we'll still use that as the entrance where it is, and you can see there's a bridge there to use the underpass. And this will show you, so this kind of breaks down how the building will be laid out from a programming standpoint. And as I said, we will be back in front of Planning Commission, I believe it's in 2 weeks, and then to zoning by April 17th. Because in the area where you see Moriarty to your left, and you see a Welcome Center, that is an existing nonconformity of a residence hall that is in a CO district. So we will be coming to ask for a special exception to put the Welcome Center there. And then the retail space will be over on the CICD area that would attach to the bridge. And so this is showing that Ithan Avenue Gateway and Improvement Project, which I spoke to this is kind of what it looks like, just from a very schematic standpoint at this point. So you can see the verge down the middle of Ithan Avenue and the new signage for the gateway to campus. And we would do that verge on both sides of the south and the north side of Ithan Avenue. And this is a rendering of what we're hoping to achieve. This is another project that is part of that gateway that came out of the campus master plan. And we are looking at what's been a problem on Ithan Avenue for a long time is that left turn into Doherty Drive. So what we'd like to do is close that Doherty Drive as part of the gateway project and to create a new left turn into Doherty further west from Ithan and 30, as you can see it there. We plan to use this also as a, so when you will hear later in this presentation more about the Cabrini bus shuttle, but this would be a place where the shuttle could come in, make a left turn in here, and you can see the loop. They can drop off right at the end of that loop. and our students would get off there, and it would go back onto Lancaster Avenue. So it's a left turn in and a right turn out. It would be for all of our deliveries as well for Doherty Hall instead of off of Ithan Avenue. We're trying to plan ahead here so that we don't have a lot of ancillary traffic on Ithan Avenue. And this is where we're showing the guard booth location for South Campus. So a project that is also will be coming before you is the Conley Center renovation. We are going to renovate the ground floor of Conley Center, which was built in 1980 and looks pretty much like it did in 1980. It's, you know, very well maintained. However, we're looking for a new look and some, again, new food venues, different from what was there 40 years ago. And this is what it will actually look like. So this summer, we will be doing this renovation. And hopefully in February, if we get approval for it, we will be putting an addition on the back side of Conley Center. It's not a very big addition, but what it will do is create more seating space for our students. Right now, if you go into, you know, we say this all the time about that third room and how we need our students come out and they need a place to sit and hang out. And because not everyone does all you can eat, this is a food venue area where they can hang and work together. So I think it's about, I think it's a total of 7,000 square feet per floor that we're looking for an addition there. You can see it in the dark shaded area.
There are two shaded areas. Which
So if
is the bigger one?
Oh, okay, great. So this is one addition, and then this is the existing wall. And we would, this right now is an exterior patio area, and we would be enclosing that. So, and it will ultimately, this will be an area where there will be a food, like, it'll be the back of house for a pop-up stand for food options. So there'll be 2 or 3 food options on this side. And then here, this right here is just becoming a more permanent area. I don't know if you've been on our campus and you've seen tents there. And the tents are usually for events. This will just be enclosed and we will not have a tent anymore. It'll just be a real, and then there'll be a second floor to that, which we will put our art gallery in and have some office space on the other side, this side right here. And then no master plan is good if it doesn't have a decision projects that go out 10 to 20 years. And that's what these projects are, the decision projects. So they were tasked with looking at, you know, what could we do in certain areas in 10 to 15 years. And, you know, the demand is that we need recreation space for our students. You know, where would we put housing if we were to increase the housing? A dining hub for West Campus, because they have St. Mary's. They don't really have a big area for dining. And then athletic facilities. So right now we have two turf fields back there, but we have no place to support those turf fields. So the student athletes don't have a place to go to for locker rooms or anything like that. And as you know, in Division I sports, that is kind of everyone has to have their space, whether it's a viewing room and locker rooms to support that team. So we're looking at an athletic facility, and then as we study this pretty hard, an indoor practice facility would have to be somewhere off campus. So, but these are decision projects of whether we would pursue them or not. So if you're looking, this would be, this right here is the Higgins, we would call it the Higgins practice building, and that is just a small building that would house like the equipment for those sports there. This would be a dining hub that we would put for West Campus. If we were to increase our beds, we would want to fill in. If you've been over to our quad area, there's a lot of space there, and we could fill that in with a building, and then this would be the indoor recreation space, which at this point we think could be a very delayed more than even the 10 years, this indoor recreation space, because of Cabrini's Dixon Center. So now, do you want to get up and talk about Cabrini? So Chris is going to come back up and talk about Cabrini.
So we're really excited to be stewards of the Cabrini University mission and its campus. It's been a great opportunity for Villanova, as Mary Lou said. That came online during our campus master planning process, so it shifted our thinking a little bit. With Cabrini, we are going to use it pretty much as it is. So there is no new construction planned. There are 3 small older buildings that are being taken down. They're in a state of disrepair, but there is no new construction planned. We have a lot of projects planned to upgrade and enhance what is currently on campus. If it's a classroom building, it'll stay a classroom building. If it's a dorm, it'll stay a dorm. We plan to move 4 academic programs over there: psychology and brain sciences, ethics, communication, and education. And there'll be a back and forth component. Our shuttle service will provide round trip service to students who are living up on Cabrini and coming to our main campus, as well as students who are on main campus and coming to Cabrini. Our undergraduate enrollment as a result of acquiring this new campus will increase by 1,000. There are 900 beds at Cabrini, and we plan to fill those. So 900 students, predominantly sophomores, maybe a few juniors, will be living there. And that increase in enrollment will be phased in over a period of 4 years, beginning next fall. So we plan to do it in 250 student increments. So it'll take 4 years to reach that full 1,000 students. As you can see here, our master planning team was asked to look at Cabrini and see how we could support the goals and vision of our master plan for our main campus. And you can see some of the projects outlined here, but I want to introduce Vinny Cicculi, who oversees our Cabrini campus operations. You can go into a little bit of detail about what we've been up to and what we've got planned.
Good evening, commissioners and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vinny Cicculi. I'm the lucky guy running the operations at Cabrini today and in the future. So right now we're very focused on the transition. Already talked about are some of the construction projects going on that we can answer questions for. But I'll tell you that the main focus is the critical paths that we have for those construction projects, which include things like the shuttle for operations, but definitely certain buildings, the student center. Cascia Hall will be the future spot where students can go. And how do you activate a building like that? Well, I'll tell you, it's through many things, but including food, which if you're a community member could excite you as well. So I think that's one of the ways we're going to make that building something special for Villanova. Recreation, already mentioned a couple times, and so that's a critical path to make sure that the Dixon Center, as well as a lot of the fields and the open space around the Cabrini campus, are used to its max potential. I see that in the room today we've talked a little bit about the Woodland Trail, which will go around this campus, and hopefully will one day connect to other trails that are near and dear to your heart. I think it's a real honor to be part of Villanova, but a greater privilege to be able to connect with the community, make Villanova students understand where they are in the ground, which is a pretty special piece of ground if you talk to those that have been to Cabrini, and using its natural beauty to our advantage is a big part of the move there. So again, the recreation space is there for the taking. I think that outdoor as well as indoor will be where we make that place a little bit different than maybe Villanova campus is today. Of course, the residence hall renovations, there's 7 places where those 900 students will live. So those buildings are under various degrees of renovations, actually starting next month. And that's all interior, but quite a bit of work. And then lastly, academics. You can't have a campus without academics, so we heard about the programs going there. There are 2 main buildings. Those are, in fact, a critical path to make sure that the new programming that's going in there makes sense for Villanova, also that it brings life to the Cabrini campus, so it won't just be students in those particular programs going back and forth. I know Commissioner Larkin was asking about who would go back and forth. Well, any Villanovan would. Anybody who would want to experience the Cabrini campus for its food, for the academics, but also for the recreation and the other activities when they meet with each other. So quite a bit of from main campus or Villanova campus to Cabrini and back the other way. I also wanted to tell you about a little bit of the story for today, which is since July 1st when I came on board as a new Villanova employee, but also put there to keep an eye on things while we're making this transition, is we brought a small team together, mostly facilities. So there's about 15 of us that report for work there every day. Those are, when I say facilities, the maintenance people that keep the place running. There has been quite a bit of deferred maintenance, so we have to make sure that we keep buildings safe and secure. Public safety is Allied Universal, so they work closely with Villanova Police and Public Safety to make sure that that campus is kept safe. And then through public safety, I would say we've made some really good connections with Radnor as well. Right now, you see pictured, we have some houses that are going to be demoed. There was 3 old single-family homes that were used as residence halls. And before those go down, we figured why not take the opportunity for some first responder training. So both fire and police have been using those, and we'll continue using those for the next couple months. Also, a little bit on the public safety side is we've engaged also with Radnor on the deer culling that happens with the USDA in the township to make sure that we can accommodate what they need to do on the campus. For the cleanouts, one of the best stories there is the sustainment that we're already thinking about for the future of that campus and trying to be responsible in the way in which we transition the campus. So when we took over the place, you can imagine there was quite a bit of, I'll just call it stuff. And when you go into a building, it's overwhelming. The old library, Holy Spirit Library, had 30,000 books in there. So we worked with a place called Better World Books to offload. Well, first we went to the community, and we got about 5,000 out to people in the community here, as well as Villanova professors. And the other 25,000 went out all over the world through many different means to hospitals, schools, and places like that. And then we also had a large number of old monitors and all the wires that go with old technology. So that's about 17,500 pounds of what would be considered e-waste, electronics that would normally go into a trash bin that instead were recycled or in some way cleared out and then repurposed through some partners that Villanova has. And the third one I think I'd mention is that in all the residence halls, there's a lot of old furniture, just as there is office furniture. So if we can't find a home here in the local area, we work with some organizations that ship overseas. So we bring large 40-foot containers in to load these up, and most recently one went over to Ghana to outfit some schools there. So those types of efforts take a lot of time. We also engage with the community whenever somebody comes to us, and I'll use tree removal as an example where there's something that poses a hazard to a property, mostly Eastern University or the road, Eagle Road. You might have seen the big changes there along King of Prussia Road. We're on phase 3 of that right now, working with Shade Tree and our contractor to make sure we do that. That's all dead and dangerous trees. Those aren't even any of the live ones on campus, and that has been quite a project so far. I guess I could go on and definitely want to answer some of the questions. I know, again, Commissioner Larkin put a bunch out there, so happy to come back up as needed. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having us again on behalf of Villanova. I wanted to talk about our shuttle plan and to provide a little bit of context. I've been at Villanova for 17 years as Associate Vice President for Public Safety and Chief of Police. And I inherited the Cabrini shuttle project because, as most of you know, we have a modest shuttle program right now that I would really call a convenience shuttle that mostly serves on-campus students as a way to get them back and forth, and we have an off-campus loop as well. The stakes for the Cabrini shuttle were definitely higher, and we knew that from the beginning. There are 900 students that are going to live there. Some of them will be allowed to have cars, depending on how much space we have available. However, none of them will be able to drive their car to Villanova. So, if you think about where that campus is at in relation to Villanova's campus, you can't walk there. Certainly, there's no sidewalks. You can't bike there. You can't drive there. The only way to get there to Villanova from Cabrini, if you're a student, is going to be on our shuttle. So the shuttle is an integral part of that campus's functioning successfully. Moreover, we wanted it to be more than just getting on a dirty old bus and spending 15 minutes riding over to Villanova. We want the shuttles to be clean. We want them to be a vibrant connection to the campus, so the student that gets on the shuttle doesn't mind the ride over, and it feels like, I don't want to use Disney as an example, but it feels like that kind of seamless experience when you're on our shuttle, that it's not just getting on a bus. So we started this process in the early fall of 2023. We put out an RFP for a consultant because we know we have to get this right. So we had a pretty well-recognized consultant, Nelson Nygaard, come in and help us. And we were really, when you talk about starting from scratch, when we were in the fall of 2023, wasn't known for sure who was going to be living out there, what academic programs are going to be out there. We really knew nothing. We did know, however, that we've got some bridge clearance restrictions here. So King of Prussia Road has a 10-foot-10 restriction. Certainly Ithan Avenue, both north and south, have clearances that are even lower than that. So we needed to figure out the routes, and we needed to figure out the equipment. The routes we ended up on there are two ways that the buses will get from Cabrini to Villanova. One is down King of Prussia Road, turning left onto Matson Ford Road, and then turning right onto Connie Line Road, all the way to Spring Mill Road. Turn right. The shuttle will turn right onto Spring Mill Road, and will drop off near the West Campus train station. It'll loop back around, go back up, turn left on Connie Line, and go back that way. The other route to campus will be down King of Prussia Road, but continuing all the way to Lancaster Avenue, turning left onto Lancaster, and then going up and dropping off at Doherty Drive, as Chris had mentioned earlier. Both of those routes take about 30 minutes round trip. We actually rode 3 different buses along those routes in the summer of summer of 24. We had manufacturers in and rode 3 of those buses around the route for the feel. We settled on a manufacturer, Gillig, which is a transit-style bus with 2 doors, a front and a rear door. I would say it's a transit-style bus, but it's a 29-foot bus. So the SEPTA buses are typically 35 or 40 feet. This is shorter to be able to handle some of the turns that it's going to have to make. We started. I guess I know that there's been questions and concerns about the fuel type that we're using, and we really did start from a place of wanting to fully explore alternative fuels and specifically electrification. Princeton has an all-electric fleet. We recognize that, like I said, from the beginning. When we started to look at it, the first thing that we were advised was that you needed to understand the feasibility of bringing those utilities to wherever your bus yard was, that was the first priority. And we faced a challenge right there from the beginning because we didn't know who our operator was going to be. We were still developing an RFP, and at that point, we didn't know what the operator's capacity for infrastructure would be because we didn't know who the operator would be. The other thing we realized quickly was that the turnaround time for an electric bus, the build time, was 2 years. And we were already inside of 2 years. We were already inside of that window. So we kind of ruled out, or not ruled out, I guess maybe to reset a little bit, this has not been now, or will it be for a while, a set it and forget it situation with these buses. We recognize that despite our planning efforts, no plan withstands first contact. So we recognize that there will be adjustments, but with that, there will also be opportunities to look at, to continue to look at alternate fuels. For example, we did select an operator. One of the things in the agreement is that the operator is going to need to have a site feasibility study done on alt fuels within the first 2.5 years. But we really need some data to be able to make those decisions more informed. And we didn't want to hamstring, because some have asked, why didn't we go with like electric buses for the ones that are going to go down County Line Road? But we couldn't assume that we can't make assumptions that that's always going to be available, for example. So if a tree falls on County Line Road and you have half your bus fleet that can't get to campus because of a downed tree. So we really are looking at this. We're continuing to look at it. We are also open to suggestions and feedback. When we were at the Cabrini Neighbors meeting, we got some suggestions actually that we've implemented or that we're going to implement that will make things better. So yeah, always looking for feedback, and certainly we're not done in terms of any of this, in terms of the frequency, the number of shuttles, all that stuff. So anyway, I think that's all I have.
That's the end of the presentation that we prepared. We're happy to answer questions, but we know you have a full agenda, whatever you would like.
Anybody have? Jeff?
Yeah, so I'm not usually the chatty commissioner, but I'm going to keep you for a while. So what is the date that you propose the campus would open?
The campus will be open for fall 26, those classes that semester. Making sure that it's ready for fall 26 means that many of the components will come online earlier than that. So we're targeting spring and summer of 26, I think, to have our stuff ready.
I should parenthetically say, for the benefit of people watching here and at home, I sent a bunch of questions to you guys in advance. I'm grateful you guys incorporated a lot of them into your presentation, which saves time on the back end, so thank you for that. What would you guys be planning to do with this place with Cabrini over the summers, if you know?
Well, it'll remain closed next summer as we continue to prepare for bringing Villanova students to campus. And then moving forward, it has a tradition of being used for camps in the past, and we'd be happy to explore that. I think it's going to be important to understand what our needs are. And so we balance that with a lot of the community amenities. So, I know we have a Friends of Villanova program on our main campus. Cabrini offered a similar program in their Dixon Center. Our intention is to bring that back, but we've been transparent with the neighbors as we need to understand our student usage before we can identify what the opportunities are there. And I would say that we need to understand what our facility needs are before we can fully commit to what we're going to be doing in the summer.
Okay, so not ruling it out, I'm hearing, but
Correct.
also no plans at the moment.
Correct.
Got it. I had asked the question, why would a student travel from main campus to Cabrini, and why would a student travel to main campus from Cabrini? And I know that you mentioned that they would do it just because it's going to be great. The specific concern that I have is you're going to have an enrollment that is in excess of 11,000 students, and this is a campus that is really designed for 900. The roads in the area were designed for 900 or thereabouts, a little more than that because we had off-campus commuters who were coming. But it wasn't designed for 11,000. If every student on main campus goes to the Cabrini campus every day because they want to take advantage of the great facilities that are going to be there, and if every Cabrini student goes to the main campus every day because they want to take advantage of all the great facilities that are going to be there, that's 22,000 trips just out of that one little location. So I know as you stand here today, you probably don't have a plan. How do we deal with that? But I guess my question becomes, for the longer conversation, how do we deal with that, you know?
I think you make some assumptions that might not be entirely accurate. So while our total enrollment is in the area of 11,000, we will have roughly 8,000 undergrads, and I think that's a majority of the population that will be going in some form or fashion between the two campuses. But I don't believe that they will be doing so every day, all day, everybody. I think it'll depend on your schedule. I think it'll depend on the amenities that you want to explore. I think it'll depend on the classes. And just like everything else, it's going to be supply and demand. Cabrini at its peak had over 2,000 students, so I think that's probably a better barometer. But you know, there are only so many elliptical machines, and there is only so many seats in the coffee shop. So no matter how good the coffee is or how great the gym is, just like everything else, if there's no room for everybody, nobody's going to go. But I don't think it's accurate to hypothesize that every student will go between each campus every day.
I hope not, but we were told that it's going to be great and everybody's going to want to go there. My ask, and I'm kind of spitballing a little bit as I go, but one of the things that you could do is you could arrange schedules and living arrangements so that if you tend to have classes on the Cabrini campus, you tend to be placed there and vice versa.
Well, I think there's some of that. There's, you know, our ethics program is going to be based there, and there are many requirements or a requirement that, in sophomore year that students take ethics. So there will be some of that. But
That's smart.
Thank you. You must have gone to Villanova. But I don't know that is practical and feasible, because there's very much a desire to make sure that there isn't an othering of the people that live at this campus or who go to that campus versus our traditional main campus.
This is my neighborhood. We already know they're going to be the best ones.
That's right. That's right. All the good babysitters will be there.
writing that down.
Commissioner Larkin, what I can tell you is, just like Dave said before, you know, we are working extremely hard to make sure that this plan works for not just our community, but this community. And so if there are adjustments that need to be made, this is an open dialogue. But we are being as thoughtful as we can with how we program this in a way that it's both an attractive campus for people to live there, an attractive campus for people to share those amenities, but not in a way that's overwhelming, because that doesn't do anybody any good.
Right, and I've seen that, I should parenthetically say. We've had more than one conversation about this. One of my last questions to you that I asked by email, what is the plan that you guys have? Because it sounds like you're going to be starting construction in the next couple of months. What is the plan to ensure that the construction dollars that are spent stay within the county and the area?
Mary Lou, do you want to tackle that? Well, I think we have, I know we have a process that we use for projects large and small, where we put projects on the street for bidding, solicit bidders, judge them on a variety of factors, including capacity to do the work on our timeline, which, as you've heard, is aggressive, as well as a number of other things. And so our priority is, of course, to use local firms, and we have a fantastic track record of that. You see a lot of the same trucks on our campus doing work over many, many years. And so our communication with contractors off campus is, you know, we're looking for the best partner, and that's really what's most important for us. And we ask them to make sure that they're presenting their best proposals to us.
I hear you. I will tell you a couple of different things. The first is, I think that ultimately this is good for the neighborhood. Bringing a large body of students to what is right now just an abandoned campus that's what it's for, right? It's a college campus. So using it as that is, I think, a good thing. It's also a really great thing to have 900 additional bodies, and perhaps as many as 11,000 additional bodies rotating through downtown Wayne. I don't think that any of the business owners are going to be sad about that. I will tell you that for me, as you move forward, and I'm one vote among 7, my priorities are in no particular order. I want you to use labor that comes from the community, that is well-trained, and that puts dollars back into the community. When I get phone calls saying that you're shutting down the job because your contractor wasn't paying the workers' compensation and somebody's getting prosecuted, that's unhelpful, and it creates noise that just isn't fun to watch. And I think that we can also profit the area and serve the area in a way that is consistent with the report that Villanova has already generated about how it is an economic driver in the area. I'd like to see that. The second, I'll tell you transparently, I don't think that a 5 to 10 minute bus schedule is going to work. I think that that's just, first off, I literally don't think you'll be able to get buses to move 5 to 10 minutes along these streets. If you prove me wrong, I think you're going to have neighbors that are up in arms. I very much appreciate the backstory that you've given us with respect to the diesel buses. I do not believe that neighbors are going to be satisfied with diesel buses in the longer term. I think that a 15-minute frequency makes sense. I don't think that students are going to be upset about that 15-minute frequency if they have to wait an extra 5 minutes instead of 10. And I think that it's something that the roads will satisfy, that they'll be able to survive. But like I say, I'm 1 vote out of 7, and we'll see where it ends up going. Thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate the time.
Yep,
Those are all
thank you.
my questions.
Thanks, Jack. Other commissioner questions? Commissioner Agnew.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Commissioner. How are you?
So it'll be an additional 1,000 at Cabrini, on the Cabrini campus?
Correct.
But it has beds for only 900.
Correct.
So the other 100 will be where?
They'll be in the community, most likely.
So it's about like apartments or houses, they're going to rent houses. That's somewhere like taking another additional 50 houses, 25 houses, 30 houses to rent? Is that what
Not
you're saying?
necessarily. They have to be student-approved houses if they do that. In Radnor, multifamily is exempt from that, so they could go into apartment buildings, but the apartments would have to be willing to rent to them. We've heard that where our greatest concentration of off-campus students is in the villas. They have fewer students living there this year than they anticipated. So they could benefit from additional students. But again, we're ramping up to that slowly, so it'll be a slow transition.
But do you have a plan for where they'll go? So it's not a pressure on the limited supply of housing that is already in Radnor?
We do not have a plan for where those additional students will live off campus.
Will you develop a plan?
What would a plan look like?
That's your job. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to think of how feasible that would be for us to identify specific places off campus where we should direct our students, which we already do. We provide off-campus living website that has listings for homes that are student-approved, multifamily, different municipalities. Our students use that as a resource, but we don't endorse any place. We don't tell them they have to live in certain places.
No, I'm not saying where they have to live, but an idea of where they can actually live.
So we do that. We give them an idea of what's available, and we work with a third party to develop that website, so they actually are working with landlords to find placements to put on that website, and it does give students ideas for where they can and should live.
And is there a room for an additional 100 residents?
I think, I don't know, I haven't done a market analysis, but our students are living in different places. We're not quite sure where the students who usually live at the villas are. We have not heard from any communities or any neighborhoods that have felt like there's an additional X number of students living there. So are they going to Conshohocken? Are they going to Manayunk? Are they going further toward Philadelphia? Are they going further west? We're not sure. So the market, I think, has some flexibility in it. It's an expensive place to live. So that provides some challenges as well. But we are providing them some resources.
I hope you can increase your plan, just because that is a pressure. On
It is.
the local community that we don't really need.
Ooh, sorry. For the shuttle plan, how many shuttles again? roughly?
So the university is purchasing 13 of the Gillig 29-foot buses. 2 of those will be spares. One of those will run the existing off-campus loop that goes down to the villas and through Bryn Mawr and back. During off-peak times, there will be 3 shuttles in rotation at a time, and each of those shuttles takes a 30-minute round trip. So that equates to every 10 minutes, a shuttle would be leaving Cabrini.
Okay, yeah, more of a concern is, I know when you guys were first looking at this, and you did look for electric vehicles, that was a while ago. And I think there are electric buses out there that can handle the heights that you need. Like, I don't want you to be locked into these diesel ones forever, or actually at all.
Well, I can certainly appreciate that, and I think that I would agree with you. One of the reasons we chose the Gilligs is for their resale value. There's a good aftermarket for these buses. Our plan is, I'm kind of a data person, so I want to see what the patterns are. I'd like to see how many of those students choose to get on a bus that's going to West Campus versus how many are choosing to get on a bus that's going to Doherty Drive. That's going to inform the number and frequency of buses that need to go on each route, if you will. So with more information, we can make better decisions, and I can make a better decision about alternate fuels. I will say that from my research and from what we've learned, I have more confidence that we can do a CNG alternate fuel than I do electric. We spoke not only to our consultant, to Nelson Nygaard, about electrification, but we spoke to a company that literally consults on electrification for transit systems across the country. And the message we heard from them is it's not really there yet. There are concerns about fires in the batteries. There's concerns about range. I just want to understand it more before we go into an alt fuel situation. And nobody has recommended a wholesale flip of a fleet, let alone starting a new fleet with a switch to electrification.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them in cities. I didn't know what the height of them were. So they're certainly out there. And then it seems if you're ordering 13, they could actually make ones for a specific height. And we do that for our fire trucks to get under certain bridges. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Pardon me? So everybody knows this is my beef, but I would really encourage you to have a plan to at least annually review these buses and come up with a much friendlier, greener system than diesel buses going up King of Prussia Road every 5 minutes. It's terribly distressing. My other question, and Chris has heard me pound him about this, so I don't need to belabor that. Do sophomores now have to live on campus?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you're saying the 900 would be mostly sophomores on the new Cabrini campus. With that other 100 might be juniors? Did I hear you right? I'm not sure that you actually said that, but you said there would be some juniors and some sophomores.
So I'm not quite sure how the math will break down, but the way that the residence halls are designed at Cabrini is more typical of a freshman or sophomore dormitory. They have better designs than ours do, but they're rooms with shared bathrooms in some configuration. They do have, I believe, one apartment building, which is more in line with what our upperclassmen, juniors and seniors, are typically looking for. So the thinking is that most of those dormitory-style residence halls will be sophomores, and the balance could be juniors, but we haven't figured that mix out yet.
That would be the balance. That would be the balance of the 900.
Correct.
And then the other 100 presumably would have to be greater than sophomores if they're living off campus. Is that
Correct, yes. So we
Okay.
would still house our entire sophomore class
Got
on
it.
campus, but
Okay.
yeah.
Just wanted to clarify that. I have a concern with student parking as a sophomore on that campus. I know as a student, I went to a university that had 2 campuses, and you were not allowed to drive between them, and everybody did. I mean, absolutely. You parked in a restaurant, you parked, around the back of a dorm, you found a spot. Some people actually paid neighbors and
Yes.
whatnot, which would be legit at
Yes.
least. But I think that it's impossible to think that if you let sophomores have cars that they're not going to drive to the other campus. I just You've also heard me say that several times, so.
I'm also blessed with being responsible for parking on campus, and so I can't say that I disagree with you. We are planning to, I would say, have some draconian enforcement measures for students that do drive over, something along the lines of towing on like a second or third offense for driving over during the day. We can, that is the most unacceptable condition of all, because if you allow those students to drive over, or you don't enforce right enough, that's hundreds of cars on the road between Radnor and Cabrini and Villanova.
Worse than diesel buses.
And, yeah, and we don't have enough parking for 400 more cars on campus right now. So I'm with you wholeheartedly, and I can assure you that there will be a very active enforcement program. Right now,
It perhaps should start with sophomores not being allowed to have cars
on the Cabrini campus.
on any campus.
Well,
I mean, right now on the main campus, they're not allowed to have cars, are they?
they're not, but I will say, as I've, through the years that I've been here, today's sophomore isn't the sophomore of 20 years ago, meaning like the demands and some of the life circumstances, honestly, are compelling, and so you can't, believe me, from parents or siblings who are sick to you name it, there are a lot of extenuating circumstances. We require a lot of documentation. We do make exceptions now for some sophomores, but we require a lot from them. And so our hope is that those students will be drawn, to want to live over at Cabrini by choice.
Yeah, my concern is you're going to use it as an appealing feature to have students like the Cabrini campus is, oh, you can have a car as a sophomore here. And I think that you're going to get yourself into 800 cars, maybe not all 900, going when they have that class over on the main campus.
Yeah, I can't have it. I mean,
Yeah, but they may not park with you. They're going to park at the villas and take the bus, or they're going to park at the restaurants, campus corner, wherever they find a spot.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, thank you.
And I would say that we also have a policy in place now. Some of the neighbors who are here may have used it. If there are cars where there shouldn't be, because our cars are typically identifiable, there's at least one Villanova sticker on them, send us a license plate and we will look it up. We have done that before on many occasions.
Thanks.
Yep.
Just a concern.
Yep.
I do
Yeah,
have,
sorry.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Villanova used to have the stickers for parking on the bumpers, and if you had stickers that said Villanova Cabrini campus or something, so then if we saw those elsewhere, then we would know.
So we switched to LPR technology for parking enforcement, license plate readers. So that also makes our enforcement more effective. There's a truck that goes around. We have license plate readers fixed at certain locations and entry points in the campus, but we also have our parking enforcement is done through LPR.
I'm sorry, before you go. So you'd said that the company, it begins with a G, I'm sorry, for the buses,
Gillig.
that they have the better resale value or the best resale value?
Well,
Is that-
they're a very popular bus on campuses, in transit systems, even in emergency management. So our thought is, because the life cycle of a Gillig bus is 10 to 12 years, right? It's a transit style, it's a heavier duty bus. Our thinking is, as we explore alt fuel, and I think we'll get there, I do think we'll get there in a lot quicker than 12 years, that we'll flip these and sell them and replace them with the alt fuel vehicles.
Well, you kind of answered what I was, what's your horizon when you were looking at resale value, what you were going to get? Were you looking at 2 years, 3 years? What was you're really truthfully looking at it, honestly going, in 3 years we can get rid of these? Or was it 2 years, or was it 5 years? What was it?
I want to see what the site feasibility looks like for our vendor and what it's going to take to bring infrastructure to the vendor's site. And I think we can make more informed decisions once we have that information. I would add that the vendor that we chose as our operator has a national presence at a lot of colleges and universities. They're a big company. They're at Penn right now. They run Princeton and a lot of other places. So I've been pleasantly surprised so far at their expertise and kind of their already knowledge base, because Villanova, we certainly aren't the only school that's looking to use alternate fuel buses. So they're bringing some subject matter expertise to the table as well. So I don't think it's going to be, I would say 2 to 5 years.
So that's what you looked at? Did you, you looked at 2 to 5 years? Because you said that they, I just bought a car. You're looking at, what's it going to be in 5 years? What's it going to be? I mean, it's a normal thing to do. If I flip it in 5 years, what is it, or if I trade it in, what's it going to be worth?
Oh, what's it going to be worth?
So, no. I'm saying that's what normally people look at when they buy a car. What's it going to be worth if I trade it in 5 years? Because I'm thinking 5 years I'm going to keep that car. So that's why I'm asking you, in your mind, how long are you going to keep those buses? When you were
I don't
planning.
have enough information to answer that question.
So you didn't look at all? You didn't say, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years? If you didn't, you didn't. I'm just asking, did you?
Well, I think, and maybe I'm not understanding that, maybe we're just not, but what I'm looking for is data to make these decisions informed, whether it's CNG, whether it's 2.5 years, whether it's electric, because the other evolving piece is the buses themselves they continue to come up with new models, new things that might meet our height requirements and be less of an issue. They come out in 2 years, great. But I don't know. I don't have that. It's just data that's not known yet.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to thank you very much for coming out and giving such a wonderful summary of the plans and all of you. And thanks so much for putting up with our obnoxious questions. But it's not the first time, it's not the last time, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move along. Mr. Foster, I believe you're up. He's going to talk about some planned or probable service change in Public Works.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. Just want to go through what we're calling it is a recycling service adjustment. So if you have a better name, feel free to give it, recommend it. In 2023, I came before you because we wanted to make a change with our yard waste. We switched it from Wednesdays to Mondays. I don't know if you've heard, but we've heard nothing but good things, positivity with that change. So we have another adjustment. In 2025, there's about 4 holidays that fall on a day other than Monday. So the question that came up from some residents calling Public Works, they asked, well, instead of moving all the days to pick up trash, recycling, yard waste, how come you just don't cancel whatever holiday and whatever district you're picking up on that day? So they just don't get their recycling picked up. Well, that wasn't acceptable. So after talking to the township manager and also talking to Public Works leadership, what we want to suggest is we do a double pickup. Now, to look at it correctly, I want to skip the day. I want to go right to the calendar. Now, the reason why we suggested this is because we want to provide better service. And we also want no one to miss any of their services that we provide, yard waste, trash collection, or recycling. So to look at the 4 holidays, it's easier to look at it on this calendar. So we're going to take April. We have Good Friday. You see it highlighted in yellow. But the 17th, that day that's circled in the red, that would be the day that we would do the double pickup. Now, the double pickup would be District 1 and District 2. We would collect both districts in one day. You see Juneteenth, June 19th. We're back to work on Friday after being off. We would do a double pickup then. We then have the 4th of July. We're off on Friday. That Thursday before, we would do a double pickup. And the final one is December 26th, after the Christmas holiday that we're off. We would do a double pickup then. So that's what we're suggesting, and that's what we would like to do. We vetted it with the township manager and, again, the public works staff. Now, how would we get this information out? Talk to the PIO, Molly Gallagher, and here's how this plan would roll out. The objective, we'd notify the community of the 2025 holiday recycling changes and the benefit of those changes. We'd also engage and inform residents on social media. The website information, Radnor.com, it would show the changes, the effective dates, the Public Works page would be updated, the website calendar, newsfeed, spotlight. Also, there'd be newsletters that would be sent out on Radnor.com. There'd be video engagement, the Round Town Thursdays that happen, featuring public work leadership explaining everything that's going to happen and when. And also, you have all the apps. So all of those are ways that all this information would be pushed out. With that being said, our first day for this double pickup is April 17th, Thursday. So we'd like to roll this out. This is more of a FYI. So if there's any questions or comments, I would be glad to entertain them, but this is something we feel will be a positive impact for everyone in the township, unless any of you feel otherwise.
I have a question.
Sure.
So tell me about the impact on the Public Works employees when you have to do a double pickup, and how, I mean, I know it's only for a year, but do you have the crews? Does it get people into overtime? Like, explain how you can do a double pickup.
Well, the beautiful thing about this, we actually had it happen. I think it was last year. I don't think it was a snowstorm. I can't remember exactly what made it happen, but we had the chance to try it out. So we know we can do it, and that's the only reason why I'm bringing it forth. In order for us to do it, all of Public Works, all of the divisions would have to pull in. This wouldn't just be on the sanitation department. We have 22 individuals in that department. It would be impossible for them to try to pick up both runs in a day. So we have 7 normal trucks that go out and they handle the runs, and we have an extra 4 trucks that we usually use for backups in case something was to happen. So we would have 11 trucks out. The first 7 would start District 1, and the other 4 would go into District 2. So once those first 7 are done District 1, they would go in and start District 2. So we've been able to do it that one time, and that was all I needed to see, to know that the staff is capable of handling something like this.
When you do a standard pickup, what time are they done? Say a trash pickup in District 1. They start early because they're at my house before 8 usually.
Yeah, they start, leave the yard, I mean, they come in at 7, so they leave about 7:30. And they're done, the District 1 is somewhere shortly before 12.
Oh, so that makes it sound very doable.
Yeah, and most of the time, even though we encourage the gentlemen to take lunch and break, it's kind of hard while you're lifting trash or whatever to kind of stop and eat some lunch. So they kind of work a little faster so they can have a chance to wash their hands and get away from the smell of trash and garbage. So I understand that.
Well, I think the only thing you're up against is the communication issue of getting people into anything new. They love your last change. I get more positive feedback about the fact that you do the yard waste on Mondays now. Everybody thought that was a great idea. So people get used to this and know that, you know, you're coming either the day before or the day after the holiday, depending on where it lies in the week. So
Yeah, and since
I
you
think
brought
it's
that up,
terrific.
the other good point too, sorry to interrupt, even if we got 3/4 or half of the residents that did pay attention and they put their stuff out, that would make it lighter the next week. So that's also the reason behind. We want to try to get as much as we can as possible.
Could you share language that you'd like us to push out to the community on this?
Of course.
And
Yeah.
then we can, a bunch of us have newsletters or just send emails to people. So if you can share with us that, we can all say the same thing.
Yeah, we'll make sure you get the language that the PIO and myself are going to make sure that we get pushed out. It'll definitely go to all of you. Definitely.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Great.
Thank you.
All right. We're up for our first public participation. Anyone in the audience like to speak at this point? You'll have an opportunity under every agenda item. So, seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there any item that a commissioner or a member of the public want to pull from the consent agenda? Seeing none, could I have a motion to pass the consent agenda?
So moved.
And a second. Second by Commissioner Riley. I'll call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. All right, moving on to the business agenda. The first item is item 3A, a motion to approve the settlement agreement of March 24th, 25, 204 and 228 Stratford Avenue, and 18 Forest Lane has been referred as the Hamilton Tract. Demolition of existing structures, including a residence, and construction of 29 single-family residences. Mr. Rice, you want to get us started on this one?
Yes, thank you. What's in front of the board is a settlement agreement that will resolve all the litigation surrounding the Hamilton Tract. There's been 2 conditional use hearings. Since this first appeared on the agenda, there's been 2 town hall meetings with Commissioner Larkin and staff. The initial plan and agreement has been revised. You had this plan at your last meeting 2 weeks ago. There was some discussion. Nothing has changed since then. As the plan is right now, it shows 29 single-family dwellings. It shows some increased buffering and stormwater management along the rear of the lots that back up to Grand Avenue. There's a through road that runs from Stratford to Eagle. And Mr. Lingo, who's the prospective builder for the site, I know has met with the neighbors on multiple occasions. And I think this is a good result. Not everybody's happy about everything on here, but that's typically the case with a contested land use application. So it's before the board for approval, and then it would be filed with the court. And eventually this project, assuming that all gets approved, would come back and go through the normal land development process. So any of the neighbors that are here, keep coming to the meetings because there'll be more once that happens. So I have nothing else unless the board has any questions about this for me.
I don't think so. All right, could I get a motion to approve the settlement agreement? So moved by Commissioner Larkin, and a second.
Second.
All right, any commissioner questions, comments? I mean, I guess we just said no. Public participation. Come on up. State your name and your street, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, thank you,
Hi.
thank you. My name's Joe Shuda, 14 Forest Lane. And there's, as Mr. Rice was so accurately pointing out, there are some aspects of the settlement agreement that may not be totally acceptable, but there are 2 components that I'd like to be, or make the board aware of, that is. The first being the resolution, and Mr. Norsini is wondering if you've had any feedback from PennDOT regarding the status of the Old Eagle School line. Did they give you any reports?
Hi, Mr. Shooter. We spoke some time ago. I believe, and I have to get back my records, I believe PennDOT did go through those lines, but I'll double check. You're talking about the existing lines on the Old Eagle School Road?
Yes.
Based on our meeting, involving Representative Borowski.
Are these sanitary sewer? Or
Storm sewer.
stormwater?
Stormwater conveyance.
So those lines are,
I will, let me confirm and check on
Yeah,
that.
and Mr. Shuda, over here.
oh, sorry.
It's public comment. So
Okay.
that question is for land development when it comes back. And any of the details of this that you want to get into, it's not, you're entitled to comment
That's
on the
fine.
plan and the agreement as it is right now.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Okay.
And the other point is I'll put it very bluntly, any particular liability associated, who would shoulder liability or culpability for any incidents after the development is concluded and the proposed stormwater, any of the things that are being done to remediate the current stormwater situation. So I just want to make sure that becomes a factor, since there are a number of us, Grant Lane, Forest Lane, Fairfield Lane, that have properties that have been adversely affected by the water that has come off the property. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As Mr. Rice said, I think during land development, we can address all of those. Come on up.
Greg Zari, 6 Forest Lane. I'm a Tredyffrin resident, but a party to all of the meetings relative to the Hamilton properties. My question is more related to a legal aspect that I really don't understand the process. The previous developer who presented the townhouse concept is appealing the judgment through Pennsylvania courts. Yet we're talking about a different developer now. Does that become moot if the sale occurs? I'm just confused on how all of this works.
The Hamilton estate is still the owner.
Right.
And so they own the property. They have a separate agreement with Mr. Lingo. But the Hamilton estate is still the one that has to get the approvals and sign the settlement agreement. Mr. Lingo's not signing the settlement agreement. It's a Hamilton estate. So assuming that gets approved, then there's an approved plan, which they then can sell to Mr. Lingo, and he will be the developer that files the application, I guess, the land development application. But in terms of the litigation, Mr. Lingo's not a party to that. He's just a prospective purchaser. Happens all the time with, there's someone who gets quite often the approval and then sells that to a builder. This is very similar to that situation.
So, excuse me, I guess the concern is there a chance the townhouse development might come back to life again?
No.
Since it's in litigation?
No,
Oh, good.
no. They would have to file another conditional use application.
All right.
So,
Thank you very much.
And we don't want to see another conditional use application
I don't think so.
on this property, and I know the neighbors don't want to see another conditional use application, so.
Appreciate
Okay.
the input. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Even Mr. Brosman doesn't want to see another conditional use application.
No. We've all gotten to know a lot of the neighbors that live there, so.
Hi, Caitlin O'Sullivan Silver at 201 Stratford Ave. My only concern with the entire plan is at my intersection. I live at Stratford and Eagle, sitting just on the corner there, right across from the Hamilton property. The proposal mentions removing the flashing signal posts, the mast arm. I'm sure that's seen as like a huge eyesore, but at the end of the day, nobody can ever see the stop signs that are at the 4 corners. So even if you're coming south on Eagle towards 30, you can see that red flashing sign from half a mile away. And that's really the only thing that slows people down before they get to that stop sign, or you can see it from 30 coming north. So I know it's weird, it's outside my house, but I'd love to keep it there just for traffic purposes and safety purposes instead of removing it. So
Is there any reason we couldn't revisit that during land development?
I would think so.
There is a improvement that will occur at that intersection under the settlement agreement, but it's going to be part of the land development process, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be back for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up.
Hi, Mary Ann Morrissey, 207 Stratford Avenue. And to piggyback off of Caitlin's comments when it comes to traffic, I think that the previous presentations provided a lot of statistics that didn't really seem to jive with the reality of living on Stratford Avenue, especially at the corner of Eagle. So you're proposing a cut from Stratford, through Eagle, through the development, and that's fine too. But I think there are a lot of drivers in the world who use Stratford and Eagle as a cut already. So I think that when you're bringing in 20 new homes, you have more residents, you have more traffic. Stratford it's more of a Stratford Speedway. Living on that road, I walk to the train station, and it's just, thank God, Mr. Holloway put the sidewalks there that cover at least half my walk, but it's very dangerous. People don't care already, and so we're going to add to it. So I really hope that the traffic consideration is given a lot more thought this time.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Dave Satterfield, 207 Stratford. I appreciate that the current plan showed a reduction in homes based on some feedback, but I still would voice a concern that the houses are significantly closer together than the zoning ordinance requires. Currently it's in the 30-foot separation between homes is the requirement, but I believe this plan has the homes up at roughly 20 feet. And so I just wanted to voice that concern, and what kind of a precedent does that set for the neighborhood? If other people want to add an addition to their house or an attached patio, does that mean they can now build those much closer to the property line because it'll be done in this development? So
No.
just wanted to voice that.
No.
But then I would ask, why can't they if this development can do
Well,
it?
this is a settlement agreement of litigation, so when you do that, you can modify these types of provisions, but someone could not walk in tomorrow and have the same setbacks. It's going to be whatever the zoning ordinance requires. But when you settle litigation, you wouldn't get a plan like this if you've followed the rules to the letter of the law. But so there's give and take in terms of number of units, and there's give and take in terms of setbacks. But to answer your question, it's not a precedent for anybody else.
Anyone else?
Just want to follow up.
Oh, Mr. Schutte, you're back.
I'm back again.
You still had some
Like
time.
a bad penny, sorry.
No, you still had some time.
I want to follow up with Mr. Rice's comment. In settlement agreement, there's, in section 4, the first sentence, it says, in accordance with Article 23, can't see, of the Radnor Township Code, the township hereby grants conditional use approval subject to the following conditions. And I just want to understand, Mr. Rice, you said there would be no more conditional use applications?
Correct. Yeah,
Am I misunderstanding that?
Yeah, there's no more conditional use applications on this property. This agreement and this plan will be filed with Delaware County Court of Common Pleas, and the judge will be asked to approve the plan based on the settlement agreement that the parties have signed off on.
Okay, but the fact that it says conditional use, does that imply
No,
anything?
I think that's just background of the conditional uses. I'm not sure what you're reading.
I think it's Article 4, page, what would that be, 2 or
Right,
3?
right,
On the
okay.
settlement agreement.
Right. Yeah, the conditional use that's being approved is this plan. That's what's being approved, this plan.
Okay. Good, I was just trying to understand, because when this comes before, for filing, when Mr. Lingo files, will he file it as a by rights plan or a conditional use plan?
No, this plan that's part of this agreement is the plan that's being approved. There's no other plan at this point.
Okay, but that'll be a conditional use plan, though, approval, right?
Yes, yes. Right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any further public participation? Any further commissioner comment or staff comment? Seeing none, I'm going to call a vote. It's a motion to approve the settlement agreement as we stated earlier. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. All right, moving on to 3B is a caucus, so no vote on this. It'll just be some discussion. Preliminary land development for 656 Clyde Road, which is the Radnor Township School District planned new Ithan Elementary School. Construction of a new school to replace existing school to be the existing school to be demolished, and related modifications to parking lots, driveways, and grounds. Hi.
Hi. Good to see everyone. David Falcone here on behalf of the school district as part of their land development application for the new Ithan Elementary School. I'll give just a very quick overview of what got us here, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Cadzo, who can walk through some of the engineering items. I know we're just here for caucus, so we'll try and be as brief as possible. But we are obviously all here to answer any questions that anyone has. So this project is to ultimately create a new Ithan Elementary School on the property where the existing Ithan Elementary School is today. The way that this project has been designed and proposed and to this point laid out is to keep the existing school in service for the students while we construct the new elementary school immediately adjacent to the existing school. Once the new school is up and ready, we will then move the student body at Ithan over into this new building and then commence the demolition of the existing school. We have phased it in such a way that we believe the construction activity and that the most significant demolition activity will occur when students are out of the buildings. That's been kind of one of the driving factors that's led this process to this point. At the Planning Commission level, we were asked to kind of describe the phasing process that we had in mind and lay out some of those dates. To that end, I just think it's important to note staff has been incredibly helpful with us, specifically Mr. Norsini and his staff, in keeping this project moving. So we're very grateful for that and in allowing us to even be here tonight to discuss this caucus and this plan. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Kadzo, who's going to walk through some of the open engineering items, but I think it is important to note how hard Mr. Norsini has worked to keep us moving on our schedule. This application in particular requires kind of a very tight schedule so that we can make sure that we meet those dates to allow the students to be moved at appropriate times.
Mr. Falcone, I want to congratulate you on getting it through the Planning Commission.
Hey, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Hugh Kadzo. I am with ELA Group, civil engineering, landscape architects working on the project. Also with me tonight is Michelle Maslin, who's our traffic engineer, and she'll be touching base on some of the traffic comments. Primarily, I think, Dave, Mr. Falcone has given you a background on it. We have gone to the Shade Tree Commission. We have gone to the Zoning Board. We have been in front of the Planning Commission since, I believe, October, going over a variety of issues that we have been resolved, are actually pretty close to resolving. The 5 items I just kind of want to touch on right now, we have 5 modification waiver requests before you, which, again, you'll be acting on, I guess, in 2 weeks from now. First of all, the first one is the plan information within 500 feet. And primarily we're asking for that because most of the work is located inside the middle of the site. If everyone's familiar with Ithan, it's pretty extensively wooded. And we do have overlap about 200 feet or so outside the property. So that's our first modification request. The second one is additional right-of-way and cartway for Sproul Highway. This is located out here in the front. As you're, again, probably aware, if you're familiar with the site, that's heavily wooded, steep embankments along the frontage. Currently, right now, with the cartway is to be required to be 60-foot wide right-way, 36-foot wide cartway. Currently, it's 40-foot right-of-way and 22-foot wide cartway. There's no, as far as we're aware of, there's no plan currently for PennDOT to widen the road. And because of the existing conditions with the woods, the slopes that we have there, the school rather prefer to keep that for now as a buffer from the properties along there and keeping within character of that stretch of Sproul Road. If and when the time PennDOT would come in and request widening, or look at widening the road, the school would consider proceeding with widening at least a right-of-way at that time. The third is parking facilities, parking lot areas exceeding 30 cars in capacity. As you can see, in the front of the school here, there's a centralized parking area. There's a variety of reasons that we wish to do this. Primarily, again, if you're familiar with the site, this is essentially where the current Ithan School is now. And the parking in this area, this is essentially a plateau. So for constructability purposes, the new school will be wrapping around the existing school. And the parking area, the existing parking area, will be out here, and we'll be adding spaces during the various phases, phases along the way of the construction. Then the final year, the existing school will be removed, and the parking then filled out. Other factors is too, we're maintaining the current drive off of Clyde Road, and we're actually maintaining the existing access drive up to this point here, tying off that road. again, which brings the traffic to the front part of the site. Construction phasing I already touched on. Existing woodlands, if you've perchance have had a chance to see some of the renderings and some of the presentations. This school, you can see the courtyards to the rear of the school. Pretty much all those buildings have, all those wings have window walls. The forest and the woods behind is a key integral part to the school. And the school does not desire to have parking located down in the back there. Plus, it also wouldn't be accessible. The front entrance, again, for security purposes, having all the spaces in one area. The main entrance will be in the front. That way the school can have control of it. Parent drop-up loop, which as you see here, is located in the front as per usual, again, because of the main entrance. Usually those loops are also tied into parking lots. This will allow, if a parent needs to pull up, park in there, and because someone forgot their backpack or whatever, which happens all the time from the Ithan parents I've heard about, that they can do that. And again, following the intent of the section, even though, you know, some of these spaces was more than 30, you can see how they were broken up with many islands, and they're part for landscaping purposes, but also too for grading purposes as well. The fourth waiver we have is parking lot grades exceeding 3% slope. Again, everyone's familiar with the site. And what we've done here, the existing topography, again, is kind of puts an impact on it. The existing access drive, we want to maintain that coming off of Clyde, so therefore we're tying into the front there, which kind of dictates that. And then the slopes we have themselves were de minimis over the 3% max for most all these bays, but it does require 3%. We're slightly above 3% with the upper one, and then we're at under 3 and at 2.3% on the lower bays as well. The last waiver we have is dedication of parkland or fee in lieu of. Currently, right now, again, if you remember what is here at the school, there's existing pathways that come up to the school from the neighborhoods down below. The plan for the school district is actually to enhance these pathway systems to have access, walkability around the back. This will be a new age-dedicated playground. This area here, these are actually stormwater facilities underneath. This will be a soccer field. We'll maintain the current soccer field that's located up here, which is, it's an undersized field. And the main reason for that is part of the PE program at the school. This is where the gym is. They'll be able to access and use that as well. The tennis courts will be renovated, and also there will be a kindergarten level playground placed out there. And currently, based off of community meetings and knowledge of the campus is actually used pretty heavily by the neighbors for recreation. Spontaneous or actually club usage. But again, and also tied into that too, as part of the Shade Tree Commission presentation, we're looking at doing a forest management program to enhance the health of the woods. Currently, they're failing tremendously, are not healthy. So it's the intent too is to try to improve the woods over the years. It'll take a little bit of time. The township did a similar project down the road with those little tubes of trees. You see the saplings and stuff. Similar type thing around the wetland area here. Again, to enhance the woods and improve the recreational capabilities, you know, opportunities available to the public. So those are the main questions. We also did get a letter from Mr. Pancoast. The fire lane and turnarounds were adjusted to fit the needs of the fire marshal and the fire chief, and those are being incorporated into the plan as well. So if there's any questions on any of the engineering comments, if not, we have Michelle Maslin here to present for traffic.
I have one quick question. This back road, I guess, is that just for emergency fire access and that sort of thing?
It's a combination. It's a combination emergency fire access. Also, because of the configuration of the building, this is basically your maintenance, your physical plant. So there'll be maintenance vehicles. Yeah, there'll be maintenance vehicles occasionally coming back here to service it, but for the most part, it's going to be a very wide walkway for the kids.
Will it be gated? or
Yes,
anything?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay, because if
Yes.
you've got kids walking along.
Oh, yeah, no, it's going to be
Yeah.
gated.
Perfect.
And we've actually also, too, added a fire hydrant down there as Andy has requested, so that way, if they need to do a straight lay or something down in the rear, they have the water access as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Question?
Yeah, hi. Sort of not directly related to this, I got outreach from one of my neighbors, the resident, who backs up to, I guess, sort of like your drive in. And there's been some clear cutting of some brush over there that now opens the view from this particular resident's house onto the school property where he was shielded from view. Is there any plans for kind of planting along the neighbors' backyards that are along the entrance from off of Clyde?
I did fail. I did not bring home.
Hi, Bill Dolan, Director of Facilities. I think I know what you're talking about. That neighbor has reached out to me, and we've played phone tag. And that neighbor, there wasn't any clear cutting for this project. That was simply, we were trying to clear out invasives, and our subcontractor last year went to the wrong side of the street and took some invasive shrubs out, stuff that'll probably grow right back this spring. And
I've
it's
seen
stuff.
the pictures. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty decimated.
I was
and
there
we were
on
used
Thursday.
To having a green blind at the back of your yard, and now it's a
Well,
string of dirt. I know it was
yeah.
invasive, and I know you have the right to take it, but you do have a neighbor whose experience in his backyard has
Yeah.
been changed. So is there any thought to maybe
Well, I can tell you-
planting some healthy?
Absolutely, yeah.
Blind
We
greens
don't know
there?
what that is yet, but we want that to be an attractive entrance to the whole campus. So we're thinking about that. I do think it'll fill back in very quickly if we don't do anything. The intention would be to do something, but it's not, Hugh doesn't know anything about it because
Like I
he
said, I know
didn't
it's
see
not
it.
directly
Yeah.
related to the project, but I think that, every neighbor who's abutting a property as large as this that's going to undergo this kind of construction is anxious about the impacts on their property. So when you can, make some improvements for the neighbors
We
who
totally
are
intend
looking at
to.
you, that would be
Oh,
great.
Thank you.
Yep, so, understood. I'll work with the district to make sure that as part of this planting process, we address that screen.
That's great. That's all I needed to hear.
See, I mean,
Thank you.
these are 11 by 17s, but you can see the amount of trees we're planning to plant along the entrance here as well. So, but we'll
Excellent.
look at incorporating that. And like I said, this area here is where the forest enhancement's gonna go. So, and this is the area in the back too. You can see where we're additional plantings down there. Okay.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? Oh.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Traffic.
Traffic. We received a comment letter from Gilmore Associates dated March 14th, and I would like to talk about 4 of the comments. Specifically, first one is E1A. It is specifically about what was analyzed and how was it studied. The information was provided previously in the appendix. It was scattered throughout multiple appendix. For ease of review, it has been summarized in exhibits, so I think that helps the review. Second one is E1B, which is talking about the mitigation measures. All of the mitigation measures are consistent throughout the morning, the afternoon, and the school peak. So those are the highest traffic in the morning, the afternoon, and then when the school would let out.
So you mean like peak traffic flows, commuter morning, commuter evening, and then school let out? Got it.
Specifically, those mitigations address some existing problems as well as some things with the additional traffic that is with the building expansion. First one would be an eastbound right turn lane at Sproul and Bryn Mawr. Second would be a northbound right turn lane at the same intersection. Third would be making the left turn lane southbound a little bit longer to accommodate the queues that build up right now. Another would be to add a turn lane on Clyde Road for the driveway, for the school driveway. We don't actually cross the threshold of requiring it at this point. We were required to do the full build-out, which is 150 students. When the school would get to 120 students, then it would cross the threshold of requiring a turn lane. At this point, no turn lane is required. Another one would be making the signal timings what we consider optimized, so changing them slightly to accommodate the traffic that goes through Sproul and Clyde intersection. And the last is solely on the driveway. It's adding a median to address access concerns that were from the review from the engineer. It would be a 4-foot wide median in the driveway. It would allow 13-foot wide lanes going both in and out. And then it would be a 155-foot long into the site. A median, yes.
And how far roughly up the drive is that distance? Because I know you have, at least during the construction, you have parents. Oh, it is? Oh, thank you. I didn't see it. Thank you, Tim.
The next comment I'd like to talk about is E1C, which is specific to the Clyde and Sproul intersection. Looking at the intersection, trying to identify the long delays that are out there. They do get a little bit worse when we add the school traffic with the building expansion. Again, if we change the signal timings, we can address that concern and make the delays back down to what they are now. And then the last comment I'd like to talk about is E1K, which is basically covering all of the mitigations that I talked about. That would address the delays that are either existing or that are caused by the additional traffic that is from the building expansion.
Yeah, I have a question. I don't know if it's on traffic or not. How many students are at Ethan Elementary right now?
There are 540 students at the school now. This proposed project would take the maximum capacity for the building to 740, around 740. But the district is anticipating a 100 student increase. So the way PDE kind of mandates the way the buildings are built, everything is based off maximum capacity. Radnor structures its classes differently, and as a result, the actual impact of this project is probably going to be a net 100 student gain to Ethan over some period of time. And I think what Michelle had talked a little bit about when we're looking at traffic, and again, we've been kind of very fortunate to deal with Mr. Drummond and Mr. Norsini on this, is when we evaluated the traffic impact of this project, part of the analysis was on full build-out. The district doesn't think it will ever get there just because of the way that they structure it. So we've been able to evaluate and propose mitigation measures at different thresholds that the district could hit. So when we get to maximum capacity for what we believe the building will be, which is again about 640 students, we evaluated what that impact would be and then evaluated mitigation measures based on that. And then took the analysis a step further. Even though we don't believe we'll get there, we were able to complete that analysis so that we know what the appropriate mitigation measures are in the event we cross over those thresholds. And as we approach them, you heard Michelle mention, we will then re-engage with staff and discuss the mitigation measures that would need to come online. So it's a fluid process here. This is a little bit different than like you might see in a townhouse development or in a residential community where you can say, well, we're going to build 50 houses and we have a pretty good sense of what's coming. Here, we're building a school which on paper can hold a certain amount of students. In our curriculum, it holds less than that, and we don't think we're going to get there right away. So the build out will happen over time. Students will come over time, and then beyond that, as we all know, kind of class sizes evolve year to year through districts, and that's just, I guess, a function of people having babies.
Okay. And because you had mentioned 150 students, so that's one of those like thresholds in between 100 and 200 or whatever.
Right, that's when we would hit. So the way it would be is when you look at what we had to evaluate these measures was at some point, traffic will be generated enough from this site where the level of service at these impacted intersections will change and become worse. We had, not me, Michelle had to do the analysis to figure out where that pinch point was. And so that's what we've done. We've been able to say, okay, as long as we only have this many students come, the level of service at a certain intersection will be the same as it is today. And at that point, we're really not mitigating an impact because we're not creating a worse situation. There will be a point where we do make it worse. And that's what Michelle created, was that identifying that moment, and it's 120 students.
Okay. Sorry, last question. For Radnor Elementary and Wayne Elementary, ballpark, you know what they have? That's all right.
I don't.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thanks.
I understand it's ideal that they'll only be going up by 100 or maybe 150 students, but you know how these schools are. They max out eventually, or at least the way our population has been. Everybody keeps talking about population shrinking. So I'm glad you at least have the foresight to have certain things that will kick up Mr. Norsini's attention and the like. Any comments from engineering over there?
No, Commissioner, this is what we discussed with them is a graduated process. Allowing them to design, to right-size design up front, and that we're going to have to rely on the school district to give us triggers ahead of time for when that student population is going to increase, which then will require improvements to the intersection. And that was one of the reasons I asked them to discuss tonight the different mitigation efforts, because there could possibly be capital plan improvements to these intersections based on what goes on. And that's, the applicant is required, anytime a level of service goes below C, they are required to say that in the report, and they are also required to tell us how to mitigate it. That's all in saldo, that's all the requirement, all what they have to do. So we're working with them to get this done in the right way.
I know you have to deal with a lot of PennDOT roads too, so that adds a bit of time frame to anything that you need to do. The only hope I have, a little optimism, is there was a huge increase in parents driving their children to school during COVID and after COVID because nobody wanted their kids to get on. I mean, when the schools were reopened, sorry. No one wanted their kids on the bus. So maybe that'll taper off over time and we can really encourage bus use as a good green activity for kids. Get some of those cars out of the traffic flow.
I just have one question. I don't know who to direct it to, but will there be redistricting, moving some students from other elementary schools to this nice, shiny, big, plenty of room for kids school?
Good evening, Dan Bechtold, Assistant to the Superintendent. So that's a great question. I think that one of the things that we want to do is we want to build this building so we have flexibility in the future. If you look at Ithana Elementary School right now, it was built in the 60s. And so when we talk about the measures that we've been working with at the Township, it is making sure that we have the foresight if we would add additional students. Right now, we're not anticipating redistricting to start at the opening of the building, but sometime down the road, we think that we could have 100 other students, 100 additional students that would be in that building.
Thanks. Other questions, comments? If anybody is interested in the real nitty-gritty, they've gone through this piece by piece through planning and whatnot, and it's all out there. So I appreciate you guys having to go through all these meetings and have a nice summary for us by the time you get here. All right. Just a caucus, so you're free to go. We'll see you again sometime. The next item on the agenda is item 3C. It's a motion to approve amendment to the lease agreement with AT&T. Mr. Rice, you want to start us out on this?
Yes, there's actually two things occurring here with this lease agreement. The township has an existing 1999 lease with the existing parking lot there. That lease is being amended by simply removing the existing property and moving the lease to the future West Avenue parking lot. So AT&T's approved that. The other thing that's happening with this is there's a joinder to the First Amendment to the lease agreement because I guess as of the end of the month, Mr. Falcone's client is going to close on that existing lot, and we need a lease with them to continue to use that until the new West Avenue lot is ready to go. That will stay that way. The West Avenue lot will be built before the existing lot gets closed down for construction. So it'll be phased in, and the agreement and the joinder provides for that.
That's right. And there's a memo as well, a memo of lease that was filed with the existing lease with the township that's being amended to reflect the change in property location.
Yeah.
Thank you for the forethought to do all that. I mean, we need the parking, so
Sure. Absolutely.
it leaves it available until the west lot's ready.
And one of the conditions of our land development is that we can't take that front lot offline until the back one is up and
Right.
ready. So this allows for that to happen pretty seamlessly. And once it's done, the township will come out, they'll take a look, make sure it works, then we'll give notice, and y'all can move over.
Excellent. So I need to get a motion to approve the First Amendment to the lease agreement with AT&T. So moved by Commissioner Agnew, second? Second by Commissioner Riley. Questions, comments, anybody?
No, I'm just really looking forward to that lot opening, and it's a whole new parking for downtown. I think it's going to be great.
Excellent. Any public participation on this? Seeing none, I'm going to call a vote. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you. Item 3D, authorization to advertise a public hearing for the possible adoption of the Radnor Township Comprehensive Plan Update, Radnor 2035, A Vision for Radnor. Hello, we haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be back. And let me see, I hope this is on. All right. I gotta open this with. I guess I'm gonna just use. Is there a way to open full screen? There we go. Is there a way to? There we are. All right. Thank you all and welcome, or thank you all for having me back. I have a very short presentation here just to give everybody a little bit of a reminder of where we've been, and then I'm happy to have a conversation or answer any questions that you have. Just a reminder that this comprehensive plan has got several really key important sections. The first part being the plan foundations, which is a vision for Radnor that really lays out the top level idea of where Radnor could be in the next 10 years. A conversation about why and how this was a community-driven plan, and then a summary of the trends and existing conditions, all of which is supported in the appendices. And then there are almost a dozen plan elements focusing on a range of topics from environment and open space to historic preservation, land use, and township facilities and services. And then it concludes with an implementation framework. This is something that I've been working very closely with the township manager on to develop a strategy for how to go about implementing this. Just a quick reminder of how we got here. It's kind of wild to think that we started this back in August of 2023, where we had the steering committee kickoff. We started doing our data collection. We started developing the survey, and we were out in the community. We're out telling people what a comprehensive plan is and why it's happening and what it was going to do. Pretty quickly, we got the survey out. If you all remember the bookmarks and the flyers, the website got up. We sent out the Every Door direct mailer. In the background, we were doing our research on the existing conditions and trends, doing the stakeholder interviews, and starting to develop that vision and goals for the project. We came to you all as well as to the Planning Commission and made a couple of presentations on the existing conditions and trends, as well as a summary of the virtual community survey. Those were all recorded and put online, so everybody had an opportunity who wasn't able to be there to get that. And then obviously, these meetings are all sort of live broadcast. Then we had our public workshop. These pictures are amazing. You guys have been featured in other places. Just lots of people sitting around tables thinking and talking about the future of Radnor. We then put together some draft recommendations, came back to all of you for a sort of presentation of those ideas, worked those through the steering committee. Bill worked with the department heads to get input and feedback along the way. There was a bunch of public comment and feedback that was incorporated into that, and then obviously went to the Planning Commission for presentation. So all of that has moved forward to a draft that was dated February 5th that went out to all the statutory required entities. So that's the County Planning Commission, the adjacent municipalities, and the town school district. And if you actually give me, one second here, we actually have the, those are the comments that we got from the County Planning Commission. I won't read all of them in detail, and I apologize that you're just getting them now, but we got them not too long ago ourselves. I'll just read one piece of that.
Just to feel better, Mr. Kachansky sent them out. So.
Oh, good. Thanks. So I'll just read one part of that, which is, the Radnor 2035 Comprehensive Plan includes multiple recommendations for maintaining the historic character of the town and preserving natural and historic resources. These aspects of the plan are reflected in the future growth, economic development, and housing sections, and will make the township a more desirable place to live and work. The township should be commended for creating a plan that is supportive of historic preservation principles. The Delaware County Planning Department looks forward to working with the township on a preservation ordinance and survey update. So you already got a partner who's looking to help out here. So I'm just going to give a pause really quickly here and hand it over to Bill to talk a little bit about the implementation strategy.
Thank you, Adam. Ian, if we could switch over to the HDMI on my laptop, I'll just step through this real quickly. Awesome. Let's go to that place. In our past discussions over the last few months, as we've neared completion of the development of the plan, when the discussion of implementation has come up, the recommendations after having discussed with Adam and talking about some of the other clients that he's had the benefit of serving and what they've done to implement, we were gearing towards a plan that incorporates a regular set of goals by the commissioners that are done so in a fashion in terms of the calendar of setting up the township annually with specific goals and going forward priorities ahead of annual budget adoptions. So with that being the case, we've just stepped through the implementation goals, what that strategy might look like starting with 2025. And then discussing what the annual review might look like, and then just some quick questions at the end if there are any. So the goals quickly are ensuring that the comprehensive plan becomes part of the township's planning and decision-making process over the next 10 years. So we want to make it intentionally part of what it is that we're doing as we're making decisions and thinking about the township and what's going on around here for the next 10 years. That the plan is updated regularly to reflect new information as well as to track progress of the implemented strategies, either in whole, in part, or not at all, depending on the direction provided by the Board of Commissioners at the time. We also want to make sure that the public has access to the plan, which exists today, but also that the township's prioritizations that are developed over time, as well as the implementation efforts, are also provided to the public on an ongoing and real-time manner. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, is that the plan adoption efforts span current board and staff members to help ensure that the plan doesn't fade over time due to any kind of changeover. So critical to that end is making sure that we have a process in place that is very well defined and documented so that folks that step into these roles over time step into a process that is fully functioning and successful. So the first thing to do is with any plan is we'll assign a staff member to be our lead comp plan implementer, and whoever that might be will have the exciting task of kind of quarterbacking this over time, going back to developing that public-facing method of tracking, making sure that updates, that strategies and progress are available in real time to not only commissioners but the public and also all of our different departments. Identify opportunities over time. As we know, this plan will be adopted today, and a year from now something else will develop that will be exciting and something that we want to consider. So we want to make sure that we have someone kind of paying attention and is able to incorporate some flexibility as we go forward. Just somebody paying attention to those things and making sure that we're connecting those dots. And then along those same lines, constantly tracking the issues facing the township and coordinating those responses with the comp plan strategies. Again, being intentional about adopting these strategies going forward. And then keeping track of progress, making sure that we're reporting back to the board as well as the public on how we're doing. And the other, I took a screenshot of all 10 different segments of the plan. It is a comprehensive plan. There's a lot going on. These different strategies are going to be woven into operations and priorities that exist today within our departments, in addition to what our staff is doing every single day. So marrying these strategies in with our daily operations is going to have to be something that is again, something that is planned for, discussed, and made sure that we're setting up any strategies for success, that we have the proper bandwidth at the staff level to incorporate, that funding exists, and all those things. Because again, this is a very comprehensive plan, covers a lot of ground. So the first thing would be to perhaps, this is a recommendation, is to set up a subcommittee of the board and discussing with the solicitor due to Sunshine Act reasons that a subset of the group of the board would be necessary to have a working group meeting to set up a scoring system that would allow us to weight the different sections of the plan along with all of the strategies within those sections and develop a scoring system that would then allow commissioners to take some time and apply scores to each of the sections and the strategies within them. Once that's complete, staff can aggregate. We'll have then a framework for establishing what kind of rose to the top based on each of the commissioners' review of the document. And then from a numeric standpoint, establish what those priorities look like. Now, obviously, just because something scores well doesn't mean that's going to ultimately be the priority, but that at least gives the Board of Commissioners a framework and a starting point to start having those discussions. Then the subgroup can work with staff to translate the numeric prioritization into an actual set of priorities and goals, and then ultimately have a public review and adoption of what those goals might look like. And the timing of this is important, again, as I noted earlier, is making sure that we're hitting these targets If we're able to be successful at this around July, then we'll have priorities in place as we head into the fall and when we're talking about budgets and setting up the township financially over the next few years as well. And then on an ongoing basis for future years, you just repeat the process annually, biannually. I think we'll get a feel for it as we go along. But it's just making sure, again, that we're being intentional about revisiting how we're doing on the progress, what's working, what's not, what's come up, what's new, what does the board want to add into the mix, what maybe is no longer as important as we thought it was, and so on. So this just becomes an annual process, and this goes back to the final one of the strategies, is making sure that there's a process that's well documented, that again spans the people that are sitting here today, so that the implementation of the plan continues uninterrupted. So that's the end of my segment.
Bill,
I think Adam and I can answer questions together depending on what they are.
Yeah, I have a quick question for something you just, when you were talking about the scoring and setting up a scoring system, then you said the Board of Commissioners will score. But I would think it's important to get scores from staff as well. I just know that the depth of knowledge in each area sitting over there is much greater than my sort of umbrella little knowledge of each area. I don't know, it's just an idea.
Absolutely, and we could certainly incorporate that. I would be willing to bet that when we ask Public Works to score, I can guess what those items would move to the top, and if we asked Parks and Rec, I can guess what items would move to the top of their list. But certainly, staff is here to fill in, answer questions, fill in gaps. Our department heads and staff do a fantastic job daily communicating with the public. So they might be able to add some, this is what we're hearing. This is, this particular park is in worse condition than that particular park, even though it might, we might want to do this park, but this one's 20 years older. Maybe that should rise to the top. So that's where I think our department heads and staff can really help out.
Anyone have questions for Adam or Bill?
Can I just share something with
Absolutely,
that? The
thanks.
other thing to think about as you're doing your scoring, and I've shared some things with Bill around this, is, one of the things that you think about when you're scoring these should be opportunity. And, there are going to be grants that are going to come out that you're going to want to take advantage of immediately, and they may not be the most pressing thing in the township, but because the money's there, they rise to the top. There may be constituent issues that you all have that, the staff is less aware of. So you may think about maybe dividing up the scoring a little bit around what are some of the opportunities or the pressing needs versus sort of what are your constituent interests or direction. Great.
Just a quick comment, and it's really gratitude. So, Adam, I've been on this journey with you for many, many months now, and the work that you've put in is so impressive. The way that you managed our community engagement, I think, was just wonderful. Bill and the staff who participated in this, I think it's really giving Radnor what we need to kind of march through the next decade. And we haven't had these types of conversations in many years. So I'm so grateful for the work that you did, for all of you, and I'm really excited to see this put into play. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, let me just reciprocate this a little bit. I will just say, I do a lot of this work, and, I'm always learning and growing as we do this work. And a couple of things that I will just share is that the fact that you two commissioners put in the time and the energy to meet with us in the morning on, every other week, that the commissioners here invited me to present multiple times, is something that I think really shows a commitment and helped move this whole process along. And I have said this to Bill and everybody else, you have impeccable staff here. You really have very smart, very, very well-trained staff, and that makes a huge difference in this process. When we are really having to carry the heavy load of both understanding the community, understanding all the technical issues, and the fact that I can call up your staff and ask questions, it really makes a huge difference.
You can imagine how it helps us.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
All right, John, I need to take a vote to authorize the, okay, so we need a motion to authorize John to advertise a public hearing for the possible adoption of the Radnor Township Comprehensive Plan.
So moved.
And a second. Second by Commissioner Riley. Any further comments, questions? Any public participation? Ah,
And this is for April 14th, correct? Correct. Okay.
Sarah Pilling, 29 Garrett Avenue. Adam brought it up. I hope you include the community, because sometimes we know better what's going on than even our commissioners do. We know where some of the pinch points are.
absolutely.
So if you would
Thank you so much.
encourage
Yeah.
the community to be involved. Thank you.
Any further public participation? That was a great point. All right, seeing none, I'm going to call a vote to authorize this. All in favor? Aye? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item is 3E, Resolution 2025-49, authorizing the township to enter into an agreement with Recloth Earth, Bryn Mawr, to place a clothing collection bin within a designated area within Radnor Township parks. Ms. Cohen?
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the opportunity tonight to speak on this. It's actually been in the pipeline for probably about the last year, believe it or not. And tonight, Sarah Alcurdy is with us. She represents Recloth Earth. So I want to appreciate the time that you took to be here this evening and sit through the meeting, as well as the time to go through this. And we know that it's been, probably about 10 months of discussions on and off. So I appreciate that. So what this is it's an opportunity to place a clothing and shoe bin for drop-offs for recycled items that certainly would be welcome to all residents and members of the community. The park that we identified to allocate the bin would be at Radnor Memorial. We have a large non-residential parking lot in that area, so it wouldn't be something that would be overtly visual to residents that live nearby, but yet something very accessible because of the amount of sports and activities that we have that go on at the site, and certainly would not impair the usage at the parking lot at all. So it would be one large white bin that would be placed there. We would engage in a one-year opportunity to work with Recloth that would have us with the option of terminating or they terminating within 1 month if it was something that didn't go well. They've also committed that within 24 hours, they would respond to any items that are left behind, cluttered, things like that we start to see. I know Public Works is on site several times a week, so we would work with them to report back anything that they see, since there are a lot of the eyes and ears there. Plus, our staff is on and off the site from time to time. So we would push out some promotions as well. Recloth has a great website. If you want to check it out, they have some local bins in the area at St. David's Episcopal Church, as well as Whole Foods. I think a number of others in the community as well. So we thought this was a good opportunity to divert clothing and shoes from landfills, hopefully slow down the production of new items, and overall lead to some good environmental practices here for the Radnor community. And if you have any specific questions on the materials, Sarah is here tonight. She could speak to that, where they go, how they're turned over, recycled, where they're distributed, and those sorts of things.
Thank you. All right, I need to get a motion on this. Could I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-49? Moved by Commissioner Agnew, second. All right. Commissioner, questions?
I do have questions. If you could come up and kind of explain the process, a little bit about what happens after you take things from us.
Yeah, sure. So basically, we collect the clothing and then it's sorted. So the appropriate items are reallocated for the homeless in Norristown and Kensington.
And when you get, there's nobody standing there watching what's being put in. So what if you get things that are not reusable? Do you have a recycling?
So that's recycled through the textiles program. So it's actually a textile-like organization that takes the excess, and in exchange for their services and pickups, they're able to pick up our stuff, and then they take the stuff that's not appropriate for their own use.
I heard you say we're going to start with the one bin in the one park. Is there a plan to expand or move in, if assuming it goes well and not poorly, in which case I would think we might decrease the one. But did you have a plan, or are you just going to reevaluate in a year and we'll take it from there?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll reevaluate. I would like to have the opportunity, if we think it's getting heavily utilized to where there are lots of items being left on a recurring basis, maybe we'd add a second bin in the same site, because then that would show its popularity versus going into one of the community parks where we have sort of more overrun parking lots, or the Willows, or some of the other more aesthetic parks, in terms of, the nature aspect of those locations and the utilization of those areas. We do find that the parking lot at Memorial is not overly utilized. And it also offers us an opportunity to work with the school district to kind of reallocate some of the buses and the vehicles that they have parked over there as we make room for the bin. So, and if ultimately there's two, I think that could be a positive thing, then it just ends up showing the popularity.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Comments? All right, seeing none, we're going to call a vote on public participation, I'm sorry. No, not tonight. I'm going to call a vote then on item 3E, Resolution 2025-49. All in favor? Aye? Unanimous. Thank you so much for your time. Item 3F is Resolution 2025-42, authorizing the award of construction contract B-25-001 for the 2025 Super Pave Street Resurfacing Project to Glasgow Incorporated to include contingency and construction, inspection, and administration in the total amount of $852,950 to be funded from the Liquid Fuels Fund. Could I have a motion, please? So moved by Commissioner Mulrooney, a second. Second by Commissioner Riley. Mr. Norsini.
Thank you, Madam President. So if you can see in the packet, there is a basic spreadsheet that notes the roads that we're going to pave that we call full width and the ones that we call single lane. So several years ago, the board had decided that we would follow up the utility work where they pave one single lane for utility work. So each year, so for 2025, we follow up the 2024 utility work and so on, and that's how it works each year. So the top of the spreadsheet is the single lane, the follow-up, if you will. The bottom of the spreadsheet are the normal roads that we would pave through this annual program. And as noted, the total price includes the contract amount, contingency amount, as well as inspections. We have full-time inspections on these projects because the day-to-day is very important. And that's really all I have, unless there's any questions.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Any questions for Mr. Norsini? No? Seeing none, this is sort of an annual thing we've gotten used to.
I just have a quick question. Looking at the bids that came in, Glasgow's not the lowest. It's very
thank you.
close, but can you tell us why?
Sure, I was remiss in not bringing that forth. So the apparent low bidder was not a responsive bidder because they did not provide all the documentation we required. So we always warn everybody when they look at the spreadsheet, we get calls, oh, I'm the low bidder. No, you are the apparent low bidder. After we do our analysis, it turns out that Glasgow is the lowest responsible bidder, and that's why they were awarded the contract, or we're asking them to be awarded.
Thank you. Any further commissioner comments or questions? Any public participation on this? Seeing none, I'm going to call a vote on Resolution 2025-42. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Item 3G, Resolution 2025-38, authorizing the purchase of a new heavy-duty tandem dump truck for use by the Public Works Department to be financed through a 5-year lease purchase agreement as funded in the 2025 capital improvement plan with an estimated annual payment of $73,000. Could I have a motion, please? So moved. And a second. Second by Commissioner Mulrooney. Mr. Foster.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Very excited about the opportunity to put this before you. Back in our preparing for the 2025 budget, this was a ask after talking to Public Works staff. This is a truck that we do not have in our fleet, but it's something that will add tons of value to our fleet. Ian, if you could put up the picture, please, sir. Okay, just for clarification, I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware exactly what a tandem truck actually is. It's basically a bigger version of the dump trucks we have. Our current dump trucks in Public Works have two axles, just one in the front and one in the back. What a tandem truck would be four sets or two sets of tires with four each on each side in the rear, which would allow it to carry more weight. So when we look at our snow plowing operation, we look at most of our trucks have to make about 3 or 4 trips in order to get their runs done. This truck is 5 feet longer and a couple feet higher in regards to the bed. So it'll also limit how many trips we'll have to make back to the yard to get loaded with salt, which will improve the speed of how we're able to clear the roads. But also there's a lot of hauling that has to be done with Skunk Hollow, maybe getting rid of some of the products that are down there. Right now, currently, we have to contract with someone or use a bunch of our dump trucks to try to get that stuff hauled out. So this was something that is very, I'm very happy to present to you. So I'm hoping that you will see the benefit also as we do in Public Works to be able to add something like this to our fleet.
Thank you so much. Any commissioner questions, comments? I have one. So this will have a salt thing in the back. Is that what I'm seeing, that little black thing? And then is that a plow hook up in the front?
Yes,
Got
it'll be
it.
a plow hook up on the front, and also in the back you see the auger with the spinner, the little black thing that you
Got it.
referred to, that's the spinner. So yes.
Got it. Thanks. I just had questions. Any other?
I do have one. So it's $345,000, 350, right? $330,000.
Yes.
Is it taking the place of, and maybe you said this and I missed it, I'm sorry. Like how many trucks is it taking the place of?
Currently, we have about 13 smaller dump trucks, so the plan is to phase a couple of these in, because we do have a lot of roads that it would be hard to navigate something this long. So some of our runs, like for instance, if we use this on the state roads, for our dump trucks, just take for instance to do the Lancaster Avenue run, we have to use 3 dump trucks to make it from Sugartown all the way down to Landover. So this truck, we're hoping, should be able to do it all by itself. So we do have a truck that this will be replacing. So yes, it will add to the fleet, and we will get rid of like a smaller truck, an older truck that we have.
So that requires special licensing to drive that thing or anything like that?
No, just our regular Class B license that we're all supposed to have. Only reason you would need a bigger license, which we also have Class A's, is if you had a trailer you were pulling behind it. So it's about the weight of the vehicle, and this would still be required as a Class B.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Any public participation on this issue? Seeing none, I'm going to call a vote on Resolution 2025-38. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Next is item 3H, Resolution 2025-43, authorizing the replacement of a heavy-duty dump truck for use by the Public Works Department, replacing truck number 44, to be financed through a 5-year lease purchase agreement as funded in the 2025 Capital Improvement Plan, with an annual payment estimated at $26,578. Could I have a motion, please? So moved by Commissioner Mulrooney, a second. Second by Commissioner Riley. Mr. Foster again.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. This was also put forth for the 2025 budget in regards to Public Works. And this is to replace a current smaller dump truck that we currently have in our fleet. So we have a picture, but I'm not going to ask Ian to pull it up. Just to take, for instance, in our snow plowing operation, we have streets that are too big for our bigger dump trucks, the one you just saw, and the one smaller than that to fit down. Like take, for instance, Owens Lane. We can't fit our regular dump trucks down there. We also have Brook Street, Miller Street. There's a lot of smaller streets that we have within the township that we're not able to get those, operate those trucks safely down those streets. So we have this smaller truck that does that. It takes care of the township building. It takes care of some of the other smaller parking lots. So the current truck that we have, we're having hydraulic problems with it. It's a 2015. So we're asking to replace that truck with something newer.
Excellent. Any commissioner questions or comments? Any public participation? Seeing none, I'll call the vote on Resolution 2025-43. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. And the last Mr. Foster issue is Resolution 2025-44, authorizing the replacement of a 30-yard monster leaf and debris vacuum for use by the Public Works Highway Department, replacing a retiring 2016 vacuum to be financed through a 5-year lease purchase agreement as funded in the 2025 Capital Improvement Plan with an annual estimated payment of $28,500. Could I have a motion, please? So moved by Commissioner Mulrooney, and a second. Second by Commissioner Riley. Mr. Foster.
Thank you, Madam President. This was something, again, as you mentioned, was put forth in the 2025 budget to ask for permission to be able to purchase. So now that time is here. So just talking about retiring that 2016 vacuum, it's definitely necessary just because of the normal wear and tear that happens. That 2016 has a lot of high engine hours. Also, the impeller starts to wear after a while. So what happens is the vacuum isn't vacuuming. So it's easier for us to just replace it when something like that starts to go wrong, because if it doesn't vacuum, then it really has no need for us to use. So that's also some rust and wear and tear on that older machine. So that's why we're asking to replace it with a newer 30-yard monster. Is just the name. It's not a monster, but it's just the name of the equipment. So
Not quite as good as the Dragon we had last.
And no picture, Mr. Foster. We got pictures of the trucks, but none of the vacuum.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll have to put that in the next time. My apologies.
All right, any commissioner questions or comments for Mr. Foster? Any public participation? Seeing none, I'm going to call a vote on Resolution 2025-44. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. All right. Good night for Public Works. Yeah. All right. The next item is reports of board liaisons. Go ahead.
I do have one.
Commissioner Coates.
Yeah, you'll see this on social coming up, so we do want to make sure everybody, and I'll send you something too that you can put into your newsletters, but the volunteers for the Spring Parks tree planting is coming up. You'll see this coming out. You can register at radnortrees.com. I'll be putting it out myself, but I'd appreciate it if you guys could put it out too, so we can maybe get some folks out and help plant some trees. I think there's usually only about 2 people that get out there, so we're hoping to get a few more out there, save some backs. Mr. Foster, you have anything you want to add to that?
No, not really. I think we're still in the process of putting all together, but you summed it up.
Excellent. Any further reports from boards? Go ahead, Commissioner Riley.
Tammy, any updates from Parks and Rec?
Sure. I think the biggest update is that right now we're discussing the Odorriceo Park Plan, the improvements plan that we've been working on actually since February of 2022. But we're still trying to get residents out so they could come out and take a look at the concept plan that has been prepared. We're in a second iteration. It's been demonstrated every month at the Parks and Recreation Board. And we actually have 2 upcoming meetings on May 8th and June 12th. That'll be special meetings with the Parks and Recreation Board, but they'll be held at the Radnor Township Civic Association on Highland Avenue at 6:30 p.m. So we want to make sure residents come out. We're going to take a look at the plan, discuss what improvement goals and objectives we have, and then start to move forward in building the plan and hopefully landing with an estimation of probable costs, potentially that lines up with the budgeting for next year or subsequent years. Also, we will be getting the stable bid back on March 31st, next Monday. So that's a really exciting day, especially given the many, many years since 2016 we've been discussing Fenimore Woods. So that's an exciting milestone. We're keeping our fingers crossed.
I like the new playground fence.
The fencing?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very
Looks
much
good.
to Public Works
Yeah.
for their
No,
efforts on that.
they did a beautiful job in one day. It went up, zip, zip, zip.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the fencing that you all approved this evening, that will be along Eagle Road and Paul Road and parts of Shimoni, they're going to be installing as well. So it's going to look fantastic. So those are two big announcements. We also were gearing up for Wheels of Wayne in its 11th year on April 27th. So if anybody's interested in being a pulled pork or pizza judge, which is a highlight of the event, in addition to judging the cars, send me an email, let me know. It's a whole lot of fun, and you get to test all the pizza and all the pulled pork. It's a great afternoon, a great event. So car registration is still open, but it's going to be closing soon because we do have a high amount of vehicles that are registered. It's a very popular event.
Thank you.
Will there be
Director Cohen?
pizza at the Odoricio RTCA?
I think I'm obliged now.
Yeah, I think you are too, because you had a good turnout for that one.
If that's what makes people come, we'll get pizza.
And are you taking motorcycles at the Wheels of Wayne?
Absolutely.
Great.
We actually have a couple registered, so it's officially a contest.
No, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Commissioner Riley.
Any other board reports?
The EAC in April will be doing its native plant giveaway for the residents. It'll be about 10 plants. I think it's April 26th. Big weekend, pizza, plants, big weekend. But I will get back to you on the date. I believe that's going to be the date.
You'll have time to announce it at the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Anything else? Seeing nothing. Any new business? Any old business? Seeing none, could I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait, a final public participation? No? Okay. Sorry, I almost forgot you there. So moved by Commissioner Mulrooney. A second for adjournment? Second, all in favor? Aye.